people. That's really cool.
Okay.
Comments over here now. Okay.
All right. So we're live.
Awesome.
And we're live on Instagram as well. Woo! First
Oh,
time there.
you upgraded? Oh,
Nope.
no.
Nope. It's just being done. I don't have to upgrade, so it was only Twitter so far that makes you pay for it.
Oh, Instagram for me said I had to upgrade mine.
Oh, I have a business account.
Oh, yeah, that's it. Yeah.
It's not an upgrade or anything. It's just a business
Okay.
account.
Cool.
For Toronto Starts. So
Hmm.
I probably wouldn't be able to stream on my older account. And you have to have these things for a while before they let you do stuff. But
Okay.
I look really dark. Do I look really dark?
Yeah, you do.
I got to do something about my lighting here. I'm fully lit. I don't know what's happening here.
Oh,
I'll change my camera settings in a bit. So we
that's
might
fine.
as well jump into it because this is the boring part that people don't like, right?
Yeah.
All right, welcome back to Silicon Scoop. Here I am with my co-host John Irwin. I know you've
Yeah.
been swamped and got a lot going on, so I'll try to return you to a normal life quickly.
Yeah. Let's do it. Thanks everyone for accommodating and showing up today. I know it's a different time. It's on the weekend, so I appreciate those showing up.
So I don't know if you've been following the Starliner stuff, but after our discussion last week, it might have been the week
Yeah.
before. They kind of blur together as the weeks go
I think we
faster.
talked about it 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah, that is true. We did. I
Yeah.
think we did. Um, So anyway, since then there was a creepy sonar-like sound coming through Starliner speakers, and it posed a brief mystery on the International Space Station for a while. And apparently, it sounded like a sonic ping, and everyone was a little bit worried based on all the problems
Yeah.
um, we've been seeing with the Starliner. Have you looked at this?
Yeah, this is one of those things. There's this TV show I watch called, oh, it's over now, called Evil, where um, there's an engineer that's part of the team, and there's always something that can be explained using engineering or mathematics, right? And so this is one of those where I'm like, yeah, it's like based on the history and based on everything that's happened, there had to have been a reason for it, right? Like there had to have been a cause. It would have been scary if there wasn't, um, but yeah, this just goes to show. I think they determined that it was caused by feedback from the audio system and the ISS. But scary being up in space and hearing a sonar ping for sure. But the other thing too to think about is other there's other countries who are up in space too. So it could have been at like if we didn't know, it could have been caused by China, by Russia, by anyone, right?
Yeah,
But
anybody could have been, using some sort of detection or space sonar if that's the kind of thing people do. I don't know how well sound travels in space in a vacuum. So
yeah, well, it must travel very well if there's no resistance, right? But it is a vacuum, so how well does sound travel in space?
that's a good question. I'll get that answered while we continue. Yeah. So with all the issues they've had with Starliner, with it,
Yeah,
the thrusters not working, the wiring, the weird smells, the stuff just not responding the way they want, the fact that they had to pull the astronauts off it because they weren't returning to Earth because it wasn't human flight worthy.
yeah. It did land yesterday, I think, or today, this morning.
Yeah, last night, early this morning, I was
Yeah.
watching a bit of it land, and it looked like everything was successful there.
Okay, so they would have survived probably, but hey, don't want to take that chance, right?
Yeah. And so with all that going on, when something like this happens and they're getting this weird noise, creepy noise, specifically called this eerie, creepy noise.
Yeah,
Yeah, everyone got paranoid for a bit, but it was resolved. You are right. The sound was caused by audio feedback between Boeing Starliner and the International Space Station's communication system.
yeah,
NASA confirmed that it was a harmless technical glitch and posed no danger to the spacecraft astronauts. The sound was quickly resolved and had no impact on the mission. But
Yeah.
this did happen, among other things. And when you start seeing it, when the article first appears, you're like, well, what else is happening?
Yeah. What else is happening that they're not seeing, right?
Yeah.
But I was completely wrong, and I blame movies for this. But sound does not travel at all in space because it requires a medium such as air, water, or like a solid substance to carry the vibrations.
That's what
So
I was thinking.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I was totally wrong, but there are some movies that do get it right now. I think the new Star Trek's got it right when it came to when they were out in the vacuum of space with the explosions and things. But yeah, scary that back to this though. Scary that the things just keep going wrong. And the other thing too is the ISS is old. Like it's like I think it's past its life expectancy as well. I could be wrong, but
The ISS.
yeah. Um,
It was launched in 1998, making it over 25 years old.
yeah. But how long was it expected to be up there? It was expected to operate until 2020, so it's past its life expectancy, and now they've extended it to 2030. So, but who's been involved in that extension? Is it Boeing? And if it's Boeing, then good luck for that 2030.
Yeah, and they've been adding modules for a
Yeah.
while. So like the first module was Zarya, which was up there in 1998.
Hmm.
And since then, other countries and whatnot have joined the project. So it's bigger than it was, and maybe as a whole, it was meant to come down, or maybe just the Zarya module was not meant to last as long.
Oh, maybe. Yeah. But again, when we think about like what parts are Boeing built and what parts are Boeing built in the last 10, 15 years, and what NASA should just do a deep check into all of that stuff, right?
Well, hopefully they need to check quality. This whole thing with the Starliner will um, make them double check quality throughout everything.
Yeah. And I mean NASA, not Boeing, because we all know Boeing's not going to learn their lesson. So
Well, I mean, the thing is, the government needs to learn their lesson
yes,
and stop outsourcing this stuff to companies that
yeah,
are it's not in their best interest to do push back as hard on themselves.
yeah, exactly. But like I could only imagine those astronauts being up there, hearing that sound and not knowing, and for the time of not knowing, how scary that would be.
Yeah, there's a great summary article on this on startup
Awesome.
or torontostarts.com. The mystery behind the Starliner's creepy sound. I did a little deep dive, and that's where the podcast will be on this. So definitely check that out. It's a great article. And we'll keep on top of this and what's going to happen with the Dragon modules and stuff, and when the astronauts are coming home.
Yeah, for sure.
So let's jump on to this next one. Apple cancels its autonomous electric car project and is laying off a bunch of workers.
Yeah, I could have sworn that this had already happened, that they had pulled the plug, but I guess it was more just speculation that I had heard back. I think a few months back.
Yeah, this happened actually a few months ago, so this is a little bit old, but we didn't talk about it.
Oh, okay.
And so yeah, this happened this year, but in the first quarter.
Yeah. Okay.
Apple has officially canceled its electric vehicle project known as Project Titan after over 10 years of development. So they
That's
sunk
crazy.
billions of dollars into this because they had teams and teams of people. The car project still had around 1,400 employees working on it. According to one employee who was granted anonymity because they were not authorized to speak about their work. So
yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy that Apple's giving up, and I don't know if Sony built an autonomous car, but they did build a car, right? An EV. So I'm comparing, like I'm trying to compare apples to apples, kind of. You know what I mean? Like Sony is similar to Apple in the types of electronics, but um, they got further than Apple did, I think.
Yeah, they unveiled its Vision S electric concept car at the CES show back in 2020. The
Yeah, I
Vision
saw it.
S was designed as a showcase for Sony's advanced technology. In 2022, they partnered with Honda to create a joint venture called Sona Honda Mobility Inc.,
Yeah,
with plans to roll out this version in 2025.
yeah. So it's curious. So this is just another failure in Apple's book on top of the Apple Vision Pro. Is Apple losing their vision? Is Apple losing sight on what their consumers want, on what their consumers are after? Like, we'll have to see
They
what
lost it
the.
along when Steve Jobs died. They lost it.
I agree. Tim Cook just doesn't get it, I think.
I think Tim Cook is a great CEO. His background is supply lane,
Supply chain.
supply logistics and
Yeah,
management, all the supply chain management and all that stuff, building factories and getting things done, and he's a genius at that from everything we can tell.
yeah,
But I think the concept was Johnny Ives was going to be the creative person moving forward, and you start looking at this stuff and like, okay, well, Apple wasn't trying to just launch an EV. They were trying to launch a completely autonomous car,
okay,
which is
okay,
a little bit different.
that is.
Originally aiming to create a fully autonomous car, Apple struggled to meet its high standards and eventually decided to refocus other priorities like AI and software. And slowly they were slow to the AI game here. This move benefits existing EV leaders like Tesla and signals a shift in Apple's strategy towards areas where it has more expertise, such as AI and machine learning.
Yeah. I'm surprised they scrapped this only because, like, if you look at Tesla, right? Tesla's not really a car company; they're a data company, and so, um, if like, I know Apple really values data, and so I'm surprised that they scrapped this, knowing the value of the data that they would have and that they would gather. What, like, based on how far they were in the project. This was years in the making, right? And then they just decided to scrap it. So there's got to be a real huge reason, uh, other than cost overruns, that just doesn't make sense to me as to why they scrapped it.
The decision to kill the project comes at a time when major automakers are reevaluating their investment in electric vehicles amid scrutiny on autonomous vehicle projects. Apple's entry in the automotive sector was also seen as a boon to its bottom line, giving it a new source of revenue to help bolster against stagnating hardware sales and regulatory threats to its services business. So Apple declined to comment about this, but at one point, it had over 5,000 workers dedicated to the effort.
Yeah. And like, so maybe they're just going to take the same path they did with their AI and like partner with like Waymo for autonomous. But like, there's many options they could have done. Like, if the EV market was not the right, or if the EV car was not the right venture, then why not explore hydrogen? Why not explore something else and keep on working on the autonomy portion of it, right?
Well, I guess, after a while, if you're not going to be the leader, and a number of high profile automotive executives cycled through Project Titan over the years. Most notably, the project was run by former Tesla executive Doug Field, who eventually left to take a role at Ford. Apple also poached other executives from Lamborghini and Ford. It hired Ulrich Kranz, a former BMW executive. So it really went at getting people
Yeah.
here in new vehicles, but they couldn't get what their level of quality or what they wanted off the ground.
Okay. Yeah. But like, their level of quality has gone down anyway. Look at the Apple Vision Pro. Like that thing was cracking. So like, it's just I feel like it's a BS excuse, and I'm curious to know what the actual reason for pulling it was. That's my thing. Like, I just feel like, they're not giving us the full reason.
Probably. I
Yeah.
mean, we can see that EV sales are down, that the lots are full,
Yeah.
and people aren't buying them. And maybe they see those numbers and say, "Well, when we started this was the future trend, and now it looks like it's
Yeah.
not going to be."
maybe, but still, why not? Why not develop the? Anyways, we can beat around the bush and
No, but yeah,
speculate.
I mean, but
Yeah,
we don't know. The fact is,
yeah,
we don't really know. We know they spent
yeah,
a whole bunch of money on this, and they probably decided that, hey, this will not. It looks like a lost leader for us, or we spent too much money. Why throw more good money after bad? You can't make decisions on sunk costs.
yeah,
And maybe they said we won't or can't be a leader in this. They had a few conversations with people to be manufacturing partners, using their intellectual property and talent, but it apparently didn't work. Like they didn't get the
yeah,
deals or whatever they were looking for, and
yeah.
um, with some of the stuff we talked about too, with the Supreme Court overruling the doctrine.
Oh yeah,
The Chevron doctrine. Sorry, it took me a while to remember that. That means that the EV mandates and stuff that they have in the US are no longer legal. And I think, that might be part of the, when they're saying they all have to be all sold by 2025 or 2030. And since that is changing, that also may be part of the wins for Apple to make some decisions. But
yeah,
again, I think that all happened around the same time. So probably wasn't a part of their decision.
yeah, yeah. Well, we'll have to see. It might have been because obviously they would have had some insights into what's happening, right? But
Absolutely. There's an article on torontostarts.com where this podcast will be, that talks about the whole project and, why they pulled the plug. They say another insignificant factor was instability in leadership. They had their primary issue was technical challenge related to achieving full autonomy and a full autonomous driving. Remains one of the toughest problems in the automotive industry. The competitive landscape EV market had become increasingly crowded with players like Tesla, Lucid Motors, and legacy automotives like Ford, GM launching advanced like they've been doing this for 20 years.
yeah,
Over 10 years. In
yeah,
2014, they couldn't get it launched. Everybody else has got products out there. They're way behind. Finally,
yeah,
shareholder pressure likely influenced the decision.
maybe.
A publicly traded company, Apple, must answer to investors. Extended timeline for Project Triton without any tangible results made it difficult to justify further investment.
Yeah,
Decision to cut loss and refocus in areas like AI and software. So that's most likely what happened. And you get all that information over there again, like I said, on torontostarts.com, where this podcast will be.
yeah.
So, do you like this next one?
Oh yes, I am so happy this happened in Europe finally.
The UK government is investigating Ticketmaster's dynamic pricing model after Oasis chaos.
I hope this triggers the EU to also investigate because the EU is the ones that are the ones that are actually doing things about these big companies. But this is I'm happy this happened finally over in Europe. Um, this is yeah. This just goes to show the like Ticketmaster's market dominance and their tactics, and it's just absolutely nuts.
Yeah, and so let's, summarize it. The UK is investigating Ticketmaster over its use of dynamic pricing during the sale of Oasis concert tickets. Fans faced a sudden price increase at checkout, prompting complaints and a probe by the Competition and Markets Authority to assess whether Ticketmaster violated consumer protection laws by failing to disclose how prices would change based on demand. The investigation could lead to fines, changes in how ticket prices are handled, and potentially setting new standards for the ticketing industry. So basically, you jump on to get a ticket that's $150. You're waiting in the queue. By the time you get to the front of the queue, the same ticket is $450.
Yeah, that's nuts. So then what do you do, right? Because you've already been waiting all this time. It's trickery and it's not okay. Like
Yeah, not only that, but you've got 20 seconds or a
yeah,
minute to decide whether now you want these tickets, because usually you're buying two, not just one or more.
yeah,
And now they're triple, two and a half to triple the price that they were. And you're saying, okay, are these worth it? And the clock is ticking down. You're
yeah,
gonna miss out completely if you don't pull the trigger.
exactly. Yeah, that's totally unethical. I think totally unethical.
Many fans didn't manage to buy Oasis tickets before they sold out, so if they really wanted to see Liam and Noel on stage together for the first time in 16 years, they may have to resort to resale sites where some are trying to sell tickets for nearly $8,000 each.
That's crazy. I thought there were rules in, maybe it's in the EU and not the UK, around the limits to reselling.
Well, you were talking about some proposed limits where it was we talked about this before when we were talking about the Ticketmaster being hacked in their barcode. That there were proposing rules to allow for 10% max over face value of the ticket or something like that.
Yeah.
I didn't know about it, but you were informing me.
Yeah, yeah. So it's regulated in the UK. It's a 2015 act. The law mandates that resellers provide specific information about the tickets. Um, oh, I don't know if they limit the actual
Price. I'm gonna say they don't because here we are, $8,000.
Yeah. Okay, then they don't. Yeah. Maybe it's the EU then,
Nandy said
or
it was,
maybe it was something that was
I think it was
proposed.
the EU is proposing it. Nandy said it was depressing to see vastly invaded prices, excluding ordinary fans from having a chance to enjoy their favorite band live.
Yeah.
Working with artists and industry fans, we can create a fairer system that ends the scourge of touts, I guess being scalpers, rip-off resales, and ensures tickets are fairly priced. So, Keir Starmer vowed to cap resale ticket prices for music and sports events. I'm not really sure how he's going to cap the prices, because can't Taylor charge whatever she wants?
No, that's resale ticket prices. He says.
Yeah, still.
Yeah.
He's not talking. I guess they didn't specifically say markup. I'm not a big fan of what Keir Starmer's doing by everything we see online, and I don't think he's long for the government there. So, it would hold a government announced it would hold a consultation into the secondary ticket market this fall and issue dynamic pricing will now be factored
Oh,
in.
that's good. Well, that's good. At least now it'll be brought in before they make a decision. They don't have to make any changes, and they can include it in what if they move forward. So
Yeah, and let's be clear about this. This is something, I talked to a couple of producers recently, and they cleared the air on some of these things with me because a lot of people don't know this. It mentioned some of it in the article, and we'll get to it. Ticketmaster doesn't set the prices itself. The company said that decision is for event organizers. In other words, the promoters, but the artists have a say as well. Swift, Ed Sheeran, and The Cure are among the big names who have opted not to use dynamic pricing on recent tours. However, Bruce Springsteen caused this stir in 2022 when he said he used the model. So, it's not Ticketmaster that's getting the extra revenue, it's the artists and the promotion companies. So, and the other thing is, that service charge that everyone complains about,
yeah.
that goes to the artist.
Okay.
So that this is one of the things that people don't know. That extra service charge, that all goes back to the promoter and the artist. Minus a teeny tiny bit that almost all goes back to them. So I wonder about all of this now because I used to say Ticketmaster, they're a bunch of bleeping bleepers.
Yeah.
But I wonder, they're just providing opportunities for their clients to generate more revenue with this option. But it's kind of like Uber, where you got surge pricing. You're trying to take a 10-minute ride across town that's usually $15, and all of a sudden it's 75 because of the time of day. It's not really cool with people.
Yeah, but I get surge pricing, higher demand. But this because at least with the Uber, you kind of know what to expect, especially like after a concert or something like that, right? It's not fair, but the difference between that and this is that you pick your ticket at a certain price, and before you're able to check out, it triples or quadruples. That's not okay. The price should be reflected way before when you're selecting your ticket and should be frozen at that time. If it's
My my guess is the price is frozen when you select your ticket. The problem is you don't get you're in the queue to pick a ticket because there's thousands of people when it goes live, and they
Yeah.
only can handle a few hundred at a time. So you're in a queue, and by the time you get to the queue, the tickets started at $100. By the time you get to the front, they're $450 or $300.
Yeah.
It's like, damn it, because there's such a demand. And you can say surge pricing.
But
Great.
see, that's the thing is with concerts, the demand is the demand, right? Like it's not like it goes up and down. Like that people are gonna, when you release tickets, people are gonna want to buy them.
But we had, again, I agree that this shouldn't happen in tickets, but you think it should happen. It's okay to happen in some other areas. It was it McDonald's? I think it was McDonald's who recently experimented with surge-based pricing, and they got the crap kicked out of them, and they pulled it back. Where the burgers cost more when you're on, like, at your rush times.
Yeah, that's kind of,
Like, I'm just saying, how is that different than what you're
yeah,
saying?
you're right.
So we got to sit back and say, all right, where do we tolerate this and where do we don't? Now, understanding that if it's rush hour and rush traffic and rush time and it's busy time, as a transport, you should get more money just because it takes longer. If you drew a traditional taxi across town, it's about time and distance, right?
Yeah.
So I understand that basically you're paying the cabbie by the hour plus by the kilometer to kind of make everything work out. Great. So if it takes an hour for what should normally take 10 minutes, probably have to pay a little bit more. But if it's still 10 minutes and the same person doing it, why should they charge more?
Yeah. True.
People can get away with it. People are experimenting with business models. I'm not against the free market trying to do all these things. Just because I don't like it doesn't mean they shouldn't try it. Just because I'm an old fuddy-duddy and say, I don't like the way you're changing your pricing. I don't like it when my local coffee shop increases their pricing and stuff. So just because I don't like it, but we see these weird models come up, like the Logitech was talking about their subscription model. We see the surge pricing for tickets, and like surge pricing for tickets are ridiculous because there's always a surge when they go on sale.
Yeah, exactly.
So what happens is if they don't sell out, the prices slowly go back down. So you were an idiot for buying them in the first place.
I don't think they go back down though. I think because of the demand, they stay high. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
So,
but like the only reason why I say that is because I've looked at tickets after like weeks after they've been on sale, and the price is higher than it was when they first went on sale.
Really?
Yeah.
Higher, meaning like on Ticketmaster or whatnot?
Yeah, on Ticketmaster.
Huh. I know if you're using third party like StubHub, which I think Ticketmaster owns, those tickets tend to go up closer and closer to the show.
Okay. But then there's what's that? There's a really good app. It's called.
So here we are. Prices can increase during high periods of demand, but if a show is not selling well, prices may decrease closer to the event date. This is because ticket vendors, including platforms like Ticketmaster, want to fill the venue rather than avoiding unsold tickets.
Mm.
So the strategy is to optimize sales at the highest possible price, but if the demand fails, prices can drop to attract buyers. Great. So great. If they don't sell out and we're getting closer to the end of the show, I know I've been to places. If you live in a big city, the best way to get free tickets is to sign up to the mailing list of all the concert houses.
Yeah, get the pre-sales.
No, sign up to the concert houses themselves.
Oh.
They all have mailing lists. They all have little the Phoenix. The Phoenix is great for this. So this is the inside tip. The Phoenix in Toronto, go sign up to their mailing list, sign up to all their free tickets. Yeah, you can win these tickets. You can win these tickets because you know what? I used to get a crap ton of free tickets because when they don't sell out, they start giving away to those people. So sometimes they're giving away, 100 or 200.
Yeah.
So
just FYI, the Phoenix is closing.
That's sad. They're all closing.
January 2025.
Oh, that's too bad.
I know, it's super sad. They brought in a lot of good. I'm a huge '90s, '80s, and '90s hip hop. They brought in a lot of great hip hop acts. They're the only ones that ever did. So I'm really
Lot
sad.
a lot of great memories at the Phoenix. That's really sad. I'm gonna have to reach out to a couple of my friends to see if there's gonna be like a final show or something that I can
Yeah,
be part of.
yeah,
I'm not necessarily part of. I've got stories we'll tell another time.
yeah,
All right, let's jump into this next one here. The tech layoffs of 2024.
yeah. This is you keep seeing this almost every day, at least every week now. Um, and I think it's because of AI.
Well, it's definitely the economy, and a lot of it, you say it has to do with AI. So let's get into it. The tech layoff waves is still going strong in 2024, following significant workforce reductions in 2022. I want to make sure I've shared this one instead. No, I haven't. So here we go. um, and 2023, this year has already seen 60,000 job cuts across 254 companies, according to Independent Layoffs Tracker.
Yeah,
Companies like Tesla, Amazon, Google, TikTok, Snap, and Microsoft have all conducted sizable layoffs in the first few months of 2024. Smaller startups have also seen their fair amount of cuts, and in some cases have shut down operations altogether. So there's
yeah,
a list here, in January, 34,000 employees were laid off. In February, 15,000, March, 7,000. And I think we reported on this in March
yeah.
when we were talking about it earlier, but it continues. April, 22,000, May, 11,000, June, 10,000, July, 9,000, August, 26,000.
Jesus.
So, Apple's reportedly cutting jobs. Brave, the Brave
Brave the
browser.
browser.
I'm
Yeah.
sure it'll be more than that soon with what's happening with the Google lawsuit. Scale AI, Skip the
You know, Skip
Dishes.
the Dishes. I think it's Skip the Dishes is Canadian or DoorDash, one of the
Yeah,
two.
Skip the Dishes is cutting 100 workers in Canada.
Yeah.
GoPro, retention.com, Loop is
I could
conducting
see
layoffs.
GoPro. GoPro makes sense because they've got a lot of competition now.
Yeah, Cisco, Sonos, Formlabs.
Mm.
I know that TD Bank has just laid off a bunch of people, and the insiders are telling me that there's going to be a bunch more coming.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
the widespread 2024 tech layoffs across major companies like Dell, Intel, PayPal, and Cisco have driven by economic challenges, rising interest rates, and AI automation, like you're suggesting. These layoffs have significantly impacted sectors like gaming, cloud computing, and AI-driven businesses, affected key tech hubs like Silicon Valley, Seattle, and Toronto. Further, the future of the industry suggests a shift towards AI and emerging technologies with opportunities in fields like fintech and cybersecurity. Employees are encouraged to retain and upskill to remain competitive in the evolving job market. But, I'm not sure. We talked again with a couple of people at the beginning of the year about whether the tech layoffs were a boon or a bane to startups. And now we're starting to get worried about the tech industry as a whole because it's down significantly. And that means there's a lot of technical people out there that people can hire, but that means, the unemployment line is just getting longer and longer.
Yeah. Is there an app for people for tech finding tech people? I know Fiverr is one, but that's not really Upwork. Is that one that people can go to? I don't know, to find tech.
Well, you can put yourself on those platforms.
Yeah.
Yeah, get out there and take a look. If you're outside of Canada thinking about coming to Canada or looking for remote workers, go check out Van Hack out in Vancouver. They deal almost exclusively on remote workers, and then eventually try to bring them to Canada from an immigration point of view, so you can get skilled resources at a fraction of the cost potentially. But they're your employees that work for you, not contractors, not whatever. And anyway, um,
Yeah.
this whole thing it's devastating to the industry. And you talk about AI taking away these jobs. We talked last week or the last couple of weeks about the reports are we're not seeing the productivity increases generally from AI. So are they laying off these people in anticipation,
I think
or
so.
they actually implementing tools and then laying off people?
Well, I think it comes back to what we talked about, where the executives are implementing AI and their expectations are not what the reality is, right? And so they're still going off of their expectation that this new AI implementation is enabling their employees to be more efficient, but they're not. But yet they're still laying off based on that assumption, I'm thinking.
So the question becomes, is it just another excuse? Like,
Maybe.
when the economy is a little down, or um, there was something recently that happened, and immediately there was one company announced massive layoffs, like that day, blaming that thing that happened that day. But they were waiting in the wings for any excuse
Yeah,
to be able to blame stuff. That's my point. Is
for sure.
sometimes these companies get so bloated, and guess what? Inflation's through the roof. Things are costing company more. Most of these companies have lower margins now, and they're even if the revenue is going up, they might not be. Their margins are shrinking, and they have to cut workforce.
Yeah.
So if they turn around and say, okay, we have to cut costs, can we still do some of these things with AI, other tools, outsourcing? And especially in tech, it's very cyclical. We want to
Yeah.
do everything internal, hire a whole bunch of people. Things are great. We're going to do it all. Oh, lean times. Let's get rid of all these people. Let's outsource whatever we need, and, keep going, keep going, keep going.
Yeah.
I don't know how many times in the industry I got a boss, and the new boss would have the complete opposite strategy of the old boss. So, oh, great. Now we got to fire everybody because we're going to find companies outsource all this stuff too. And then, 4 years later, oh, now we got to hire everyone back because we're going to do it all in house again.
Exactly.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Sorry for my
It's
swearing.
cyclical.
Yeah. It's not something I like about the environment, but I'm hoping, that we can actually move past this, and hopefully people can find jobs or start their own careers in startups and businesses. Tech people really have a lot of knowledge to share, so they should come out to Toronto Starts and see if they can jump on any
Yeah.
startups or start something their own, get their own business idea, create their own brand, become their own technical force, either a consulting practice, a course, or whatever, where you can build, your own income outside of a company that, doesn't really care about you.
Well, outside of coming to Toronto Start, shouldn't they be talking to you for some startup coaching on that too?
Absolutely. Again, if you want to come to me, check out torontostarts.com. There's a startup coach page there, and check out all the stuff, get a free discovery call and whatnot. I'm just saying, go to any meetup. Like, not everybody really
Yeah.
listens good in Toronto. Go to wherever, start talking to people. But yeah, come to me and we can help you, and we can start pushing this together. I have, courses and whatnot that can help you with all the things we just talked about. But this is not really a sales pitch. I'm just trying to say that the
Yeah.
reason I started Toronto Starts is I was tired of working for corporations that didn't care, and for people who weren't nearly as smart as I was. And as a result, and that's not an ego thing, but
No.
work for stupid people for a long time, and it really grinds on you.
Yeah.
And I want to help people choose the life they want. You can
Yeah.
build a brand and a company and make a comfortable income without relying on someone else, and the fear that you're going to be caught in some massive layoff because somebody did something inappropriate in another country way far away that caused, this stuff to happen.
Yeah. And literally corporations do not care about you. Like, no, like, you think they do, I guarantee you they don't. At the end of the day, they will cut you if they need to cut you. Like, they just don't care. So
I've been in those meetings, so I know exactly.
yeah.
I've been on all sides of that. That's why I'm like,
Yeah.
when I worked for Mercer, when Marsh McLennan got caught doing something stock wise, and their stuff tanked, and as a result, I had to lay off 10% of my employees. It had nothing to do with my department, nothing to do with our company, which was doing great, nothing to do with. But there we go. We had to do it.
Yeah.
And I was really unhappy about that, and that was probably the beginning of the end for a lot of the um, my faith in big companies.
Yeah, it's crazy.
All
It's
right, let's jump to. Go ahead. Sorry, any last
I
words
don't.
on this one?
No, that's it. Last word was crazy.
Yeah. Check out TorontoStarts.com. I got a complete breakdown for that. And let's jump to this new one. Scientists plan doomsday vault on the moon. What are you thinking about this?
So I think this is smart. The only thing is getting the sensitive, transporting the fragile supplements, right? But we do have for those that don't know, we do have a doomsday vault somewhere in Europe. I think Northern Europe. I don't even know where it is, but so for those that don't know, a doomsday vault is essentially a vault that holds um, samples of seeds of different things that, in case that there is some catastrophic event, extinction event, that these will survive. And so it makes sense that they would look to build a second doomsday vault on the moon, given that an extinction level event could wipe out the doomsday vault on Earth. I get it. That makes sense to me. Um, so I see where they're going with this. Obviously, there's a lot of challenges that they're going to have to overcome for sure in order to do this and build this. But um, the question that it's great that they're planning for this, but are there other things that need to get up onto the moon first before we do a doomsday vault, or does this need to be a priority?
Well, depends. When you say does this need to be a priority? Obviously, it's always one of those things. If you think we're going to be destroyed, but before those other things can be done, then yeah, this should be a priority. But if you think, we got a few vaults, we think we'll live around for a while, we can wait another 100 years to put this vault up there.
Yeah. The other thing is that this protects any doomsday vaults from any terrorists here in on Earth, right?
Yeah, so scientists are proposing a doomsday vault on the moon to preserve Earth biodiversity. This vault would store cryogenically frozen seeds, sperm, and eggs from millions of species as a safeguard against global catastrophes. The moon's cold environment and protection from earthbound threats make it an ideal location for long-term preservation. Robotic systems would maintain the vault with solar providing energy. The ambitious project, inspired by Earth-based vaults like, I'm going to say, Svalbard, faces technological and financial challenges, but offers a critical backup for humanity's future. So this is, Elon Musk is trying to preserve humanity on Mars, but this is a plan to say, all right, we have these vaults, like you mentioned. Svalbard is in the archipelago located in the Arctic Ocean, halfway between mainland Norway and the North Pole.
That's the one I was thinking of, I think, or the one in Norway too. There's a bunch in Norway.
Well, this is it is part of Norway and is known for its remote icy landscapes and polar climate. So this is the one, probably, because I don't think Norway has two of them, but I'll tell you in a second because I've mentioned I got a rest of them here. The largest sediment, Longyearbyen, is located on the island of Spitsberg, which is where Svalbard Global Seed Vault is situated. The vault was designed to protect the world's agricultural biodiversity by storing seeds in a highly secure and cold environment, making it ideal backup for global crop preservation. So there's a few others. There's a Millennium Seed Bank in the UK. There's a National Center for Genetic Resources Preservation in the US that's in Fort Collins. There's the Vavilov Institute for Planet Industry located in Russia at St. Petersburg. The International Center for Agricultural Research in Dry Areas, ICARDA, it's in Morocco and Lebanon, and the Australian Plant Bank in Australia.
Yeah. So there's a couple throughout the world, but it doesn't hurt to have a backup, not on Earth for sure. The only question I have is space radiation. How will they protect against that? I guess with the enclosure, it most likely will protect it. But what about long-term exposure is my question.
That's a good question. As humanity continues to blow past the key climate thresholds, the security risks threaten the longevity of repository also continue to climb. So, um, the failsafe site, which is one you're talking about, it's above the
Mhm.
Arctic Circle in the Svalbard one we just talked about. That
Yeah.
has more than 1.3 million seeds. But the Arctic Circle that researchers have since identified is warming 6 times faster than the global average. And again, I see those articles all the time. So I press X to doubt when I see this, when any part of the globe is X times fast warming X times faster than the rest of the globe. Because if just do a Google search on any part of the world, say global happening, warming 2 times faster than the world or whatever, and you'll see article after article, like almost every city in the world seems to be having these, is faster than the rest of the world. Can't we just say that the ice is melting or the ice isn't melting, and that we're going to have these problems or we're not going to have these problems?
Yeah,
Um,
the other thing that scares the crap out of me, speaking of the permafrost melting, is viruses that we have no protection over. That, and we're obviously losing history on the history of the Earth with the permafrost, but that's scary. The viruses that scares the crap out of
Isn't everybody really worried about the Spanish flu? Is that the one everyone's worried about?
me. I don't
Anyway,
know.
because it's got birds and everything. We've had seen movies where the birds or whatever get animals who've had it get picked with the birds as they thaw, and those birds carry those things and start the plague. Um,
Okay.
that's what we've seen in some of these movies. Or I have anyway.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll look up the radiation thing. I didn't want to ignore that question. I just
Yeah.
didn't have the answer in front of me, so I'm going to
No.
take a
No.
look about that. The moon is ideal in that is remote. It's safe from these disasters, and if we could pull this off, we think it would work. So I'm not sure the cost. I'm trying to see that here. Um,
Yeah.
no place on Earth is cold enough to have a repository that must be held at or below negative 196 degrees Celsius, a prerequisite for long storm storage of cryopreserved living cells.
Yeah.
So this could, be a better bank than what we've had.
Yeah. I don't know.
It can
Um.
maintain the temperatures that they need. Use cases for lava tubes that were discovered in the moon 2010, which could provide much needed shelter for human presence on the moon, including a biorepository like the Hagedorn and company have proposed, or a lunar ark as Thagnan's team has proposed. So there's a lot of people trying to do this.
Yeah. Well, that's good. I do think they're right to be concerned about permafrost melting and climate and all that sort of stuff. So I guess the only other option would be build something that's floating in space, which would be closer to Earth. But again, you're still in space, so
Yeah, you're definitely still in space, and I'm gonna find out about the space radiation that you were talking about. Um, Thangan, they've already NASA was about to launch a probe to go, sorry, a lunar lander that was going to check the north end. Would have a first rover to explore the pole, in part because of technical issues. It was canceled. This is one of the ironic things. It's nearby Earth, but perhaps one of the most extreme places in the entire solar system. But so they're actively working on exploring the areas where they would put this unit.
yeah. So I just did a quick search. There's definitely effects of space radiation on food: nutritional degradation, chemical changes, shelf life. Like there's just um,
Yeah,
there.
space radiation is a significant concern for any long-term
Yeah,
structures on the moon, including, the Doomsday Vault. The moon lacks any protective atmosphere and magnetic field like the Earth, meaning that its surface is constantly bombarded with harmful cosmic rays, solar winds, and solar flares.
yeah. The only thing that really protects us a lot, well, not the only thing, but one of the things that protects us is our ozone layer, and there's not that on Mars. And they're even saying that techniques like the radiation resistant packaging, freeze drying, all that sort of stuff, they have limits. So
Well, and that's why they were proposing the lava tubes, because apparently there are two primary types of space radiation that pose a threat: the galactic cosmic rays and the solar particle events. But to mitigate the effects of space radiation, one solution is to place the Doomsday Vault inside a lunar lava tube or beneath the lunar surface. These naturally occurring underground tunnels formed by ancient volcanic activity would provide natural protection from cosmic radiation, similar to how Earth's atmosphere shields us. Additionally, using advanced materials and robotics designed to withstand or repair radiation damage would be essential for long-term maintenance.
interesting.
So space radiation is a challenge, but it can be managed through strategic placement and robust engineering. At least we think. Then we pull this off, and we
well, yeah. What happens? Yeah,
repopulating a planet with the sperm and whatnot, eggs that were in there, and all of a sudden we're not the same.
Yeah, exactly.
Also, putting it on the moon means aliens can come and just grab it instead of coming to here.
Yeah. Well, they would come here for our atmosphere, right?
I guess it depends what they wanted.
Potential, yeah.
So, good idea, bad idea?
Good idea. Just needs to be really more thoroughly explored.
The final price tag will nonetheless end up in the billions, a cost
for sure.
Which for some may be better spent on more certain solutions here on Earth.
Yeah.
So interesting. Again, another article there's an article on TorontoStarts.com. The Doomsday Vault on the Moon, Safeguarding Earth's Biodiversity, that talks about this, what it means, unique challenges, opportunities, how the vault will operate, global need for biodiversity, lunar versus Earth-based solutions. It's where the podcast will be, so go check it out. All right, let's talk about this next one.
Yeah.
The impossibility of complete disorder.
Yeah.
Grad students find inevitable patterns in a big set of numbers.
Yeah. So after you kind of explained it to me, I sort of thought about it and I brought it back to first principles. And so the way I'm understanding this, right, is you consider how randomness works simply. So if you roll a six-sided die, right, each number essentially has an equal chance of appearing. However, if you roll it thousands or millions of times, certain sequences or patterns become more likely simply due to the law of large numbers. So essentially, in a vast data set, these random sequences start to form patterns and certain configurations become inevitable, defying the idea of complete disorder. And you and I were talking before this, and we're like, I said, so those people who seem, quote unquote, and I don't like to use this word crazy, but who see patterns in seemingly random numbers or random things might not be so crazy after all, quote unquote.
Well, I think the pattern, obviously, with this proof, the patterns are there. And let me just bring some people up to speed, because we've been jumping into these articles, and if they're not up to speed, that's all right. It's great. The impossibility of complete disorder proves that in large sets of numbers, true randomness cannot persist. Patterns inevitably emerge, as demonstrated by Seismerides' theorem. And I might be butchering that name, which shows the arithmetic. I'm having a hard time speaking today. Arithmetic.
It's a Saturday.
The mathematical progression. How about that?
Yeah.
Will always form in sufficient large sets. So, which means shows that there will be progressions will always form in sufficiently large sets, even with numbers appearing randomly chosen. The principle has far-reaching applications in fields like cryptography, data science, and physics, where understanding the balance between order and disorder is critical. Recent research by mathematicians continue to build on this theorem, further providing that complete disorder is mathematically impossible. So, order emerges from chaos no matter what. So this starts to us to rethink a lot of things, for like cryptography, data science, and physics. But I also take a step back and say life, depends on what you believe, creationism versus evolution and whatnot. But if you believe in evolution, then life exists because it has to.
Yeah.
Based on it's not complete disorder. The universe is not a pattern, will always emerge, whatever that means. That there is some order to the universe, that we will not continue to completely evolve into entropy as a whole, no matter what people think.
Yeah.
I know that's a little esoteric and a little high level.
Yeah, that is. It's crazy. So it just means that no matter what, nothing's truly random, right? At the end of the day.
Yeah, that's what it seems like. It just, from this mathematical proof, a graduate student at UCLA has tamed a long sought improvement on an estimate of how big sets of integers can get before they must contain sequences of evenly spaced numbers.
Yeah.
The proof joins a long line of work on a mathematical impossibility of complete disorder. It also marks the first progress in decades of one of the biggest unsolved problems in the field of combinatorics.
Okay.
I apparently am not pronouncing things well today.
Okay, we're almost done.
And thanks, Ben, for the shout out, buddy. So sequences of regularly spaced out numbers are called arithmetic progressions. Through their simple patterns, they hide astounding mathematical complexity, and they're difficult, often impossible to avoid, no matter how hard you might try.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Maybe that's how people win at roulette.
Maybe, but I guess at that kind of thing, you have to have a large enough pattern. Like that just seems to be.
For sure. Yeah.
But have you seen some of those studies where people have cheated at roulette? It's been some interesting.
It is, yeah.
Where they've literally gone and got the same roulette wheel, the same table, the same balls, the same everything that casino has, and run it through 1,000 different tests, left-handed, right-handed, all this stuff to get these statistics. I've seen some of those. It's interesting.
Yeah, that's crazy. Dedication.
So this all started in 1936, where Paul Erdős and Pal Turan conjectured that if a set consists of non-zero fraction of whole numbers, even if it's just 0.000001, then it must contain an arbitrarily long arithmetic progression.
Crazy.
The only sets that can avoid arithmetic progressions are the ones that comprise of a negligible portion of the whole numbers.
Okay. Interesting.
So yeah, although this is kind of complicated and out there, I love that we're moving some of these long-standing theorems forward. Like when we talked about the Schrodinger's cat theory, moving forward with some of the new discoveries a couple of months ago. That we're moving. That there's new evidence and new details to the theorem. Now we're saying that complete disorder is impossible, and that is, I think, good news.
I think so. Yeah.
All right. What do you got going on, John?
I don't have much. Oh, I am. So next on Tuesday, I will be doing a grants presentation at the Toronto Business Development Center. So for a cohort of people, so we're going to be talking grants and government funding. So that'll be interesting on Tuesday afternoon. And that's about it, except for on the 19th.
Well, I'm afraid to inform you, you've got a couple other things going on. On Monday evening, we've got.
We do. Thanks for that.
Sorry, this won't go out before then, but Navigating the Canadian Landscape, you're coming in, talk a bunch of panel of investors and funding experts. We're going to answer what's happening in 2025, how to get funding, what's going on with VCs and angels. We'll have VCs and angels on the panel, so it's going to be great. And that's Startup Talk, Monday, September 9th at 6 p.m. September 26th at 12 p.m. We got Breaking Through the Noise. We have marketing experts kind of helping us to figure out what are the best strategies now to have your brand break through the noise and make an impact. September 27th, sales strategy workshop with Trevor Short. We're doing automating lead generation on September 26th. The best offense is a good defense on September 27th, and a bunch more. And don't forget Startup Investor Drinks. It's open pitch, open bar.
It's a great time.
It's comfort, beer, wine, pizza. You can sign up for a 20-second pitch. To the pitch to the crowd, pitch your product, pitch your services. If you're looking for a job, you can say, hey, I'm this. I'd love to work for a startup, and see if people come talk to you. So come on out and join us for those things. And John, you help people with startup funding.
I do. I help them get with non-dilutive funding. Obviously, there are other sources too, but help them understand the landscape, what's out there, what can be achieved, or what's available, what's not available, and how to best way to secure things.
And remember, we've got the Elevate Festival coming up early October. Looking forward to that. We'll have an after party on October 3rd, but it's going to be another fun event. Everyone should run out and get their Elevate tickets. We've got a discount code. I'll throw that up next time, and it'll be in the podcast show notes. So thanks everyone for attending today, and thanks, John. I know this is taking time out of your weekend.
No, I appreciate you rescheduling and accommodating. So that was helpful. So I appreciate you taking time out of your weekend for me. So
have a good one, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.